So in the previous section we installed WordPress, and then we added some plugins and some dummy data. During the course we'll use these plugins and these dummy content we imported. But for now let's discuss some important aspects about WordPress. And these are templates, the loop, and functions. So the word template can be used in different contexts in WordPress. So it can refer to template files, which are files in your theme that construct the markup for your WordPress pages. And we also have template tags, which are functions that are used to pull another file or some data from the database. And template hierarchy, which refers to the logic that WordPress uses in order to decide which template file to use depending on your requested URL. And finally we have page templates, and we will discuss this later in the course. So as I mentioned before, index.php is the only template required for a WordPress theme. And we'll see why in a moment. So templates can be embedded in other templates, and that's to either organize your code into smaller parts, or when you have pieces of code that will be used in multiple templates. These kinds of templates are called template partials. So for example, you can have a header template, and a footer template, and a sidebar. And these templates will be used in multiple places in the theme. And so to pull these templates in the main template, we use template tags. We have some predefined template tags like getHeader, which will pull a file called header.php, and getFooter, which will pull a file called footer.php, and of course getSidebar. There are also functions like getSearchForm, which will get a search form template, and you can actually create your own templates and include them using a function called getTemplatePath, and we'll use this function a lot throughout this course. So let's see how that will look like in code. So first make sure you have your MAMP server started, and then open your browser on the URL of your project. So right now we have our hard-coded dummy text here. So let's try and make this more dynamic. So the HTML tag and the head tag and the body tag and the closing body and HTML tags will be included throughout the whole website, right? So let's now create two template paths for the header and the footer and include them in the index.php. So now I'm going to cut the upper part of the index.php and put it in header.php. And let's go back now to index.php and include the header file using the template tag getHeader. And let's do the same thing now for the footer. So let's call the function or the template tag getFooter to get a file called footer.php that we will create in a moment. So let's now create the footer.php file. And then put the closing tags. One quick note here, if your theme for example has multiple headers, maybe different styles, different markup, you can create another file in your theme, header-something, and then in the getHeader function it accepts an argument, which will be this something. So for example in index.php, if we added a parameter vertical to the getHeader function, then we can create a header-vertical.php file in our theme, and that will be used instead of the header.php. Another thing, you may have noticed that my text editor auto-completes the WordPress functions. And that's because I'm using a Visual Studio Code extension for that. So if you're not using Visual Studio Code, you'll probably find something similar for your text editor. So I really recommend using one of these, it will be quite helpful. So let's go back now to the browser and make sure what we've done is actually working. So I'm gonna refresh and right click and view page source. And as you can see, we still have our header and footer. So we've reached a good point now in our theme. However, we still have a problem in our header. We have some hard-coded data like the language attribute, and the language can actually be changed from the WordPress backend. So WordPress provides a function called language attributes, and this function will add the language attribute to the HTML tag dynamically. Another dynamic attribute in the header is the charset. The charset can also be changed from the WordPress backend, and for this we use another template tag called blog.info. Blog.info will get some information about your blog. So inside PHP tags, let's now call blog.info, and then it accepts a parameter and this parameter is the information that we need to get about the blog. So in our case, it's charset. Finally, we have the title tag. The title tag also needs to be dynamic. And for this one, we use a function called wp-head. The wp-head function does not only add the title tag, it adds actually anything that you want to add inside the head tag. So if you, for example, want to add a style sheet tag in the head tag, you won't just hard-code it in the head tag. You will somehow use the wp-head function to inject your style sheet tag in the head tag. And we'll see how to do that later. But for now, let's go to the footer.php. And likewise, we have a function called wp-footer. And this function will also be used to add anything you need to add in the footer. So let's say you need to add a script tag in the footer. You will also not just hardcode a script tag in the footer.php, but you will somehow use the wp-footer function. So let's now go back to the browser and view the source, and let's see what these functions have done. So as you can see, the wp-head and wp-footer functions added some styles and some scripts in the header and the footer. So basically, WordPress used the wp-head and wp-footer functions to load some styles and scripts that it needs to run your website. And as we progress in this course, we will see how to use these functions to add our own styles and scripts as well. So we've seen how to use template tags like getHeader and getFooter to pull another file into our template. We also used the blog info, which is used to pull some information about your blog from the database and not just pull another file like getHeader and getFooter. We also have other examples of template tags that get information from the database, like the title and the content. And these ones are used to get the title and the content of a blog post. So imagine we have some posts here in index.php. We can use these tags to get information about each post. But how do these tags know which post title and content to get? They must be placed inside the loop. So let's see what the loop means in the next lecture.